Good afternoon, grown black folks talk on the climb story time, getting to the top of Buena Vista Hill at last, and what we can learn from it. Now, some of you know, just 6 weeks ago, I was injured and couldn't walk, period. I was not in the wild for a while. And for those of you that have been following me for a little while, know I've been going up and around in parts of this hill, eastern side, western side, working on different approaches, finding different rest places for quite some time, all the way back into the fall. And I believe I said on camera, this will not happen until the spring. Well, March 22nd, y'all saw it. And no, that wasn't Jason Momoa, but his name was Jason, and he was fine. The voice was fine, the physicality was fine, and he welcomed me and took that picture that you saw there. And he did two, so I'll show you the other one at the end. How was this accomplished? Well, like I said, it took me months, but it really started about 5 years ago. It wasn't March, it was much later in the year, but I had injured myself and I really couldn't walk a long way. So in my mind said, well, if I can't walk a long way, maybe if I slowly put a hill in it, I'll get the exercise that I need because I had put on a lot of weight. That's what happens when you're down for months on end. So I lost almost a whole year walking then. And then, of course, when the pandemic hit, we were sitting up here in San Francisco talking about, within 30 feet, you need a mask outdoors because we didn't realize it wasn't as contagious as we thought. Even BA2 is not that contagious. But we didn't know any of that. And because I am the primary lookout person, I'm not doing full-time care for my aging parents yet, but, if things go down, like, talk to my dad, like, I forgot to get such and such a store. Can you run by there and bring it by? Yeah, sure. That's part of the process. So I can't get sick because there you go. So I stayed indoors for a year till we got all this worked out and everybody got vaxxed. And, we weren't even talking about a booster yet. And so when they were situated and I was situated, March 26th of last year. And there the hill was still. And because I hadn't walked for a while, I just contented myself getting up that first third as far as I had gone when I was in my recovery from my injury. That's the easy part because the streets are paved up the first third. After that, you have to actually do real hiking. So it's taken me about 6 months in total. That takes some winter months out, but 6 months in total, kind of working on that hill. Where am I going to rest? How am I going to approach it? Just like a real mountain climber would approach an actual mountain, I have had to stage out that hill. I would watch real mountain climbers and how they get ready. A little bit later, it occurred to me that I needed hiking poles. Meanwhile, my shoes failed. They were not designed for that. They were comfortable, good shoes, but they were not designed for that. So I went out of commission a couple times. Why yesterday? Well, they talk about serendipity, happy things that happen that you didn't plan. I had a brunch at this time yesterday at the time that I'm recording, and because of that, I didn't need to eat lunch. And I realized I have time. It was also a quite warm day. And when you get a warmer day, you don't get stiff as fast and the muscles don't pull up on you as fast. Like today is going to be a lot cooler. And on one hand, that's good because you don't sweat as much, but at the same time, muscles pull up faster. So it was almost 80 degrees yesterday, March 22nd, 2022. It was almost 80 degrees. So heat's a problem, but I got extra hydrated and I took some extra electrolytes. And I figured, okay, I have time. So here's the thing I want you to mention that I hinted yesterday and teased with. Okay, so former disability, still got some remaining things I got to do with my leg. Still overweight, but not as much. That hill was not going to come down to accommodate me at any time. My trauma, my struggle, my desires, and my feelings about it did not create power in me to get up that mountain, nor did it, the hill, and nor did it move that hill downward to make it easier for me. So I've had to heal. I've had to get stronger. I had to get the right equipment, the right shoes, and the right arch supports in order to be able to do that. And it had to be on the proper day at the proper time. And I didn't really have control of any of those variables. It just happened to come together yesterday. I had to be ready, though, whenever it came together. And if you ever study real mountain climbing, they talk about summit windows. You can spend $100,000 trying to go climb Mount Everest. If the weather doesn't break in a certain way, forget it. So you can get equipped, you can get ready. I remember saying people spending hours on the elliptical to get their body ready to do that. I'm like, yeah, I'm good after about 20, 30 minutes. But I can take these hiking poles and go out there and put day after day after day, just extend the time and get ready for this. But I can't control when the conditions are perfect to do it. You have to be ready when it happens. It just so happens that my time and the conditions, that was my window. It took me 2.5 hours to get up there and back down. And I ended up not taking the route I intended. I prefer to go up the western route because the western route is less, it's high, but it's steep. So you're done climbing as much. You just get it done. The eastern side is just up, 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 and around. But as it turned out, the eastern side was where you have more good rest points. To my surprise, the eastern side has better rest points. So I ended up going by the most easterly route possible. Got up there. Then the route I intended to take, I ended up taking another one, but I wasn't even supposed to be there. It wasn't. What happens is the hill is a sand dune. So they have some erosion control paths that people who work up there used in order to stop erosion. I didn't know that because it wasn't marked. So I ended up going up a path covered with hay. Actually, it was nice and soft and together. And then got there like, stay on designated path. I'm like, well, you didn't have a sign telling me not to go this way. But anyway, I got on up the side, and that was a reasonable way to go. It parallels the paved path that goes lower. The paved path that goes lower, it parallels it, but the height is greater. In other words, you get to stay up. So you kind of start going on a general spiral. Eventually, I met the main path. And then you go up the main path, and then there's a flight of stairs. And I looked up, and there was the trees above it were low. And I'm like, snap, that's the top of the hill. Can I get there? So then, because I was tired, I marched all the way up there. I stopped and rested, and then walked backwards. This is a Sergeant Rufus Abercrombie tip. If your muscles are tired and you have to get up a hill, you can also walk back because those muscles have not been used in that way. So I then took my hiking poles and walked backwards for a while to give my quads and the rest a little break, and then got up to the stairs. And I met somebody else like, is that the top of the hill? He said, yep, you're almost there. Got up to the top, and Jason was there. And I'm like, I found it. This is the top of the hill. I finally made it. He's like, oh, congratulations, because look at me. Do women like me come here? I said, I'm going to take some footage and stuff, for the sisters who are on their journey. Think, oh, great. Can I take a photo? Let me take a photograph. I'm honored to be able to do this for you. Oh, we had a grand time. And he was as fine as he wanted to be up there, all roasted in the sun. Oh, he was gorgeous. And he was supportive and welcoming. And took that photograph. And you'll see the second one. There's one that was vertical, and then he took one that was landscape versus portrait, just to show that it actually happened, because there's no summit rocks on the top of Buena Vista Hill. And of course, the other thing they tell you about any kind of climbing like this, getting up is half the battle. Getting down, because I've never been up there, I hadn't planned that out. I kind of know the hill, so I know where I was going, but some of those drop-offs are steep drop-offs, because on the western side, it gets steep. So I came up on the eastern side, did what's called traversing the hill, went down on the western side, because I know that once you get going on the western side, it's a much more direct, what's the term in mountain climbing? Direttissima. It's a much more direct line to get down. So I went down the western side, but had to go back east and then south and then around, and then got down, and then had to rest for a while, and then got back to the house. 2.5 hours is what it takes to do that. Now, I probably could do it faster than that. If I lose 10 more pounds, 15 more pounds, maybe. But the route I took was the one I wasn't supposed to take. So now I've got to kind of rethink it again and try it by another route, because that was not actually proved. I wasn't supposed to be out there. It just so happened to work out that way. So I got to figure it out again on the proper route at some point. And I don't have to pay $100,000 to go back to it. I just have to walk uphill for like a mile. But, big deal. It's done now. I made it. So next big project is Lone Mountain. which takes a little bit more getting to. Um, Probably the easiest thing to do. Lone Mountain is just as high, but I don't really know that mountain at all. So that's a whole nother project. Lone Mountain is actually that's a bit more of a hill. But why am I telling you the story? Because you've been with me on the journey of getting up that hill. You've seen me on that hill a bunch of times. And I told y'all I was going to have to be humble after my injury. But before you know it, I'd be on top of that hill. I did what I said I was going to do. Now, however, what did we learn from this? My trauma, my struggle, my desires, and my feelings are all real. But that mountain was not going to come down for me. I had to wait until I was healed. I got stronger. I lost some weight. I got the right equipment. And then I was able to top the mountain. Life. There are two things you have to know about. As a human being, if you have experienced injustice, it is natural to want vindication and validation. The universe is not going to adjust itself for you, and neither is anybody else you're ever going to meet. The next person you meet is not going to compensate you for what the last person that left you, no matter who that was, did to you. I don't care what the nature of the relationship was. And to expect it is an inappropriate demand, and it will have you going in circles. The other thing to note is that no matter how much time bad churches have spent telling us about, speak it into existence and manifest your destiny. And of course, we remember the secular version of this. I believe I can fly. If I can dream it, then I can do it. If I can see it, then I can achieve it. I'm sure the writer of that song, if he could do all that, would not be sitting up in somebody's prison today. Because we are not gods, nor are we goddesses. We cannot go outside and based on our feelings, our desires, what we think we deserve, we cannot go out and say, I will, and the universe becomes. We cannot go out and say, let there be, and then it happens. That's just not us. We cannot do that. But here's what we can do as human beings. And this is necessary. Since the world and all that are therein are not obligated to us, we can heal. I will leave resources in the description as ever. We can, and in healing, we can get stronger, and then we can equip ourselves for the future that we want. There's one other step that goes with this. How much of what you want is what you want, and how much of what you want is what someone else told you who doesn't care about you? The American dream needs to be examined. I'm going to put that link in the description too, especially for Black women. We need to examine this because you have to remember the American dream was built on the backs of Black people in specifically, and Black women definitely have a very special place in that. So the system is not designed for us to participate at the level we want to. Doesn't mean you can't, but there's a price to be paid. And I'm going to put that in the chat about how women are finding freedom inside or outside the United States from the burden of chasing Black excellence, from the burden of chasing materialism. It's important for you to know that. And then how much of what you think you can't do was also told you by that same system that wants to see you at the bottom. Look at the picture at the end again. There is nowhere in the world, 500 years of history, plus what everybody says about a fat Black middle-aged woman, there's no way that that picture should ever have been taken, according to all those lies. But I climbed Buena Vista Hill anyway. And got to the top. And you can too. But you must attend to your healing. You must attend to stop demanding from the world what it will not give you. And then you must determine what you actually can do and what you actually want to do, separate from all the foolishness you've been told. See, I talked about basically the system. I didn't even get into the manosphere's foolishness, but the manosphere is part of the system, and as those of you who watched Demons and Thoth yesterday found out, that's part of a big setup on the men, for that matter. So since their lies are going to begin to get some of them into massive trouble, you may as well go ahead and put all that stuff to the side already. There's a Jason out there, maybe not Momoa, but there's a Jason out there that at least sees, okay, this person is doing the darn thing everywhere. We're going to talk another time about how good-looking men live all up and around. They have fine men with fine houses up there. Now, I live in a fine house with a neighborhood with reasonable men, reasonable good-looking men too, but it's still another level because just living up around there, yeah, you gonna get yourself in shape. I've lost a lot of weight on that hill. And these things are accessible. And they're accessible to you too, no matter what your starting point is. But you must take the time to equip yourself correctly. Lose some of the weight of the stuff going on in your head in addition to your body if necessary, and start planning and staging what it is you plan to do. The other reason the 22nd was important, on the 21st, I finished the big business mountain I've been struggling on since November. I had to put my head in my hands because that was a struggle. I was still struggling, lost 4 people in the meantime, having to do all this and all that and all that over here. But I made it up that mountain. So 2 victories back to back. And of course, today, realized I didn't click save, had to send an updated file before too much time passed. And I'm sitting here probably not going to be able to go up on the mountain today because you don't do that 2 days in a row. So human limitations and humanity are still with me. But I wanted to share this with you because if you're going to see that picture again, if I can get up to the top of a hill like that, a mile up from where I sit right now, looking like I look at the age that I am and being a Black woman, you can follow the same process. Heal, get stronger, prepare yourself physically and mentally, get equipped with whatever it is you need, and bear in mind, the system that is telling you you can't do this and you can't do that, you should do this and you should do that, does not want you to ever be free. So please check out Miss Alecia Renece talking about why I gave up on the American dream. And also look at her video. For those of you on a hypergamous journey, please look at her video about herself and her Black husband and how they, without making $100,000 a year, found their freedom while still inside the country. Check that out. It's there for you. All right. It's noon where I am. I've still got stuff I got to file. Work continues, y'all, for today. And then maybe I'll take a little umble, just keep the muscles moving, take a nice little umble walk somewhere today. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, shout out to subscriber Johanny Paulino, who wanted to say, I wouldn't mind if you did more story time. Here it is. All right. Y'all, I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.